Hello, my friends, and welcome back to our exploration of the weapon stories in NieR Automata to see what philosophical themes we can mine out of these short stories that were scattered through the game. We finished the first 4 in the first video, and now we are on Ancient Overlord. And if I'm remembering correctly, this one is I guess you could say, flavor story that came from the original Drakengard. I can't remember which weapon was a reference to Kaim and all of that from the original parts of this game's universe. But let's just get right into it. One day, a young girl's village was sacked by bandits. To protect her family, she took up a dagger her father had found in the mountains and killed one of them, an act that shocked her family. But the bandits fled, never to return. 5 years passed, then 10, then 20. Though the family she protected began to grow old, the girl never aged. Eventually, the other villagers began to shun her. With no one to turn to, she finally left her village and began to wander the earth, visiting many strange lands in the process. As the years passed, her skill and fame as a master sword fighter grew to legend. Oh my gosh, my pronunciation just randomly tried to become southern for a moment. Eternal life, a powerful weapon, and boundless experience. She used these talents to become queen of a nation, and yet there was emptiness in her life, for she still desired the kindness her family denied her after that faithful day. So this one is pretty upsetting, not in the same way that the others were, but just in that it is a positive story. It's a success story, and yet underneath the success, there is still sorrow. There's a lack of something that the person wished they had. And I guess to a certain extent, the meaning behind this short story is just that, the negative experiences of the past are what shapes who we are. It's not just what we do or what we gain, but what we didn't have, what we've lost, that has an impact on the kind of person that we become and the sorts of things that we achieve as that person. Let's move on to the Type 40 Sword story. Yorha R&D Team Journal, August 29th. Held a progress report meeting for the new weapon. Considering how many observers we have from the other orbiting satellites, I can tell they expect a lot from us. So that's interesting because as far as we know, there is only one bunker, only one orbiting satellite, which means before the Yorha project went into full swing, it also means that there were other bases up in space orbiting the planet, conducting their own missions in their own structures, definitely piloted by androids. We had our first core installation experiment today. Saw some troubling signs, including issues with unexpected irregular output and core perimeter defenses. January 8th, the circuits of 3 consecutive staffers burned out after attempting to remove the core's protection. I've requested replacement personnel. And January 15th, Command pulled the plug on our project. The weapon will go into official operation with the core still sealed. So essentially it looks like there was an attempt to use machine cores in order to strengthen, give a increased energy output of some kind to this sword. And why that is interesting narratively to the game, spoilers if you haven't figured that out already, is that the androids and their black box, the thing that records all of their memories, their personality, all of the information that makes them them, is made out of machine cores as well. So, it's a little trippy to think that they were also putting these consciousness possessing materials, technologies into their weapons, and the interaction between two consciousnesses was causing the androids to overload, to break down and stop functioning. So there's something interesting there. Though how the memories are stored inside 2B's sword in order to pass them off to A2 is also a little weird. Because A2 obviously didn't go crazy after receiving 2B's memories. There's this weird sort of overlap between the two characters as a result, but I mean, A2 was already crazy. Not crazy in the pejorative sense, but, traumatized and acting on trauma before taking on 2B's memories. Moving on to the Type 3 sword. The craftsman's weapons were neither flashy nor attractive, but they never once failed in battle. This reliability afforded him a never-ending stream of loyal clients. Yet something nagged at the craftsman. Though he'd forged many a weapon, he'd only tested them on pigs and cows. He wondered what it might feel like to use them on another human being. The craftsman took a sword to a battlefield and slashed at corpses. Disappointed at how easily the sword slid through them, it wasn't satisfying at all. He wanted to really feel like he was ripping through flesh. The craftsman modified a sword in search of that feeling, not thinking at all of the pain it would cause, until one night, a bandit broke into his home, snatched the weapon up, and showed him exactly how effective it was. So this is just, I guess, a little sadistic pleasure type story. Obviously, the reason for it is because this sword is obviously serrated, which would mean it would do a less effective job at cutting, but it would definitely latch on and rip flesh apart. That's kind of the point of serration. It's the main point is used for cutting meat, and then there's a second use, which is to get through very light and airy materials like bread. So I'm guessing it's more of just a cautionary tale, a fable of sorts, in that it warns against pursuing cruelty, to pursue any kind of, actually sadistic pleasure. Not sadistic in the BDSM sense, but in the I actually want to hurt someone and I enjoy hurting them. Because by creating the tools for cruelty, one is liable to become the victim of cruelty. You reap what you sow. And that's about it for that one, I think. Moving on to Virtuous Contract, the original short sword that you get. How long can I fight amidst this bloody vortex of a battlefield? How long, I wonder? How long can I continue to protect what I love amidst this endless war? How long, I wonder? How long can I continue to believe in a world laden with deceit and folly? How long, I wonder? How long can I lie to myself as I despair at the dark future of this world? How long, I wonder? So, since this is 2B's original sword, we can assume that that message is specifically 2B's thoughts, sort of the information that gets a representation of the information that gets transferred to 2B. And it's connected narratively because 2B is actually model 2E, which is an execution type model designed to kill off your HA troops, so as to protect the information that humanity is not actually on the moon, that humanity is entirely extinct, And thus, by sacrificing the one last connection to it, after establishing a reinvigorated battle against the machine network amongst other resistance androids, the myth, I guess you could call it religious positioning of humans as creator beings, as creator deities for the androids, would be secured because there would be no more information. And 2B was aware of this, from the beginning. There is a part in A2's route when we're in her memories, fixing it up, and 2B is having a conversation with the commander, where the commander tells her that even though 2E is her designation, she will go by 2B to be considered a battle type rather than her actual purpose by the other Yorha agents. So she's, So she's reflecting on the deceitful nature of what her mission actually is, the fact that she has to keep herself emotionally distant in order to fulfill it, and yet she still finds herself becoming attached, becoming attracted to 9S, but unfortunately her duty is to kill 9S whenever there is a event that causes him to get too close to the information about Yorha, or too aware of how the machine network works and how it's connected to the androids. And that creates the connection. Her programming creates the connection between these automata's feelings of love and how it's tied to feelings of violence, because 2B is literally made to kill androids like 9S, and at the same time, her own programming causes her to develop feelings, or you could say maybe a rejection of her programming, self-writing programming. I don't know. Let's see if we can get Cruel Oath in really quick here. Once long ago, there was a group of 7 boys who were born in the same village. Though they were not brothers by blood, they treated each other as family. One cold night, a fortune teller appeared and warned of a traitor among them. The boys laughed it off and went about their business, but the next morning one of them lay dead. With each passing night, another boy died. The survivors grew more and more suspicious of each other, each harboring terrible doubts about what happened to their brothers. On the morning of the 7th day, a single survivor stood tall, cleaning the blood from his hands. He chuckled to himself. Better go find the traitor. I guess what we should assume is that the one who was, the fortune teller was the one that spread the rumor, and but I guess that very act caused one of them to go crazy on them. I'm going to assume that this is probably connected to the story of the Yorha Boys stage play. And since this is 9S's weapon, chances are this is sort of a narrative wink at the android called Number 9, which is a different android, and sort of just a very short summary of everything that happened in that stage play. I haven't seen the stage play myself. I prefer to just stick to the core game material, just because I think it tells its own coherent narrative, even if it is a little sparse in places. But Yoko Taro creates so much extra material, so much supplementary material for the worlds he creates, for the stories he tells, that it's impossible to follow. It really is impossible to follow. And I don't think the games need that in order to be understood, for the story in the games to be appreciated in the way that they need to be. And ultimately, if there is another NieR, they're not going to be terribly important to know in order to enjoy and understand the next story, at least in my opinion, much in the same way that this game did not require people to have any knowledge of the original NieR, but it did give a lot of flavor, a lot of nostalgia to people who did. But I guess that's it. I'm not really going to have time for the last few bits. But I did start a fight with this giant rabbit robot while I was taking a short break in between episodes. So perhaps we can just finish it out this way. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really am having a good time making them. Whoa, okay. I really have not... it's been a while since I've actually done the combat in this game. And just going through the DLC was definitely not enough to make me remember how to do this. And it's really distracting, you know. I'm glad I don't really do Let's Plays, because trying to do combat like this while also talking is, wow, really difficult. But if you did enjoy the episode, if you want to see more of these evaluations, let me know. I'm probably going to do them anyway, even if they don't get a good response, just because I want to actually explore them, because I really ignored the weapon stories, and I think there's a lot there, and I've already enjoyed what I've found. So thank you again for watching, and as always, stay true.